Hi, I'm Tom Lantos, and I have here with me director Cliff Bilowski and Jeff Sinisek, and they're the guys behind the film Drunk Soldiers. If you haven't seen the film, you can click somewhere here. You can see it if you're on a mobile device, then you can click the link in the description of the video. So now we're going to ask some of the questions that you guys submitted, and first one is from username Zapsnacks, something like that. The question is, wow, very nice. Question, this time you used real fireworks or explosions, am I right? And if not, it's great compositing. So
it was actually mostly real stuff, but there was a few that we added in there just to fill in some of the gaps where we couldn't get it, like the shots on the tree lines and things like that. But wherever we could, we'd get.
So did you have done some digital?
There was a lot of it was just working with almost layering on top of the practical effects to make some things look a little bit bigger. Or I think there was one shot where one of the machine guns actually it jammed on set, so we only had one quick burst of it firing. So the second time you see it, I think we had to add a little bit more.
What about the muzzle flares? Did you actually have?
Actually, most of the muzzle flares were actually they were either real or the times when, because the camera doesn't always pick up the muzzle. Yeah. Like the shutter just doesn't line up at the right time. So what we would do is we would actually pull the real muzzle flare from an earlier shot and just composite that in on the guns later on.
The explosives themselves, though, the actual big mortar rounds were.
Yeah, those are 100% real. Yeah.
Okay. How exactly did you plant your fireworks or the explosions, I guess, and did you take any safety measures for the shoot?
Yeah, there was tons of safety measures, but we didn't plant them ourselves. We actually had a pyrotechnician that came on, ran that whole thing. He used a few of our people on our crew as PAs to help him out, but for the most part, he just had everything covered.
Was it like somebody certified?
Like completely certified. Yeah, we didn't make that stuff up or anything. Yeah.
We also had an ambulance on set and paramedics ready in case anything did go wrong, which they didn't. But better safe than sorry.
You sure nothing wrong? Where did you get the weapons and the soldiers' uniforms from?
The weapons were actually from a place called MAG. They're in Toronto. The pyrotechnician helped us get those. He sort of just arranged everything because he handled everything just as one big package. So we told him we needed the guns and the effects and all that, and he just kind of came back with what he could give us within our budget at the time. And yeah, he gave us. It was really great what he did for us there. So he just showed up with. We gave him a list, and he got whatever he could for us at the time, and we sort of made use of what he got.
Did you guys rent it or buy it?
We rented the weapons. Were all rented.
Yeah, and the uniforms, everything.
Yeah, uniforms. Actually, most of those we ordered from. I think it was a place in China at the time. Actually, that sold some really good quality replica uniforms, and a couple of the uniforms were lent to us. They're actually authentic World War II uniforms that Jeff was wearing.
Yeah,
right.
It actually been worn by a soldier, an Allied soldier in Europe during World War II, which I thought was an amazing honor. Although we got some fake blood on it, which was not good.
No, it definitely was not good.
Another question is from user 98Kenneth98. It's a nice video, and then it goes, what camera did you use?
That was the DVX 100A that we used for that. Yeah, we had two of them going on that.
Is that HD camera?
That was actually a mini DV camera at the time. That was that was Panasonic DVX.
Did it shoot like 24 frames?
It shot 24 frames, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was one of the early digital ones to actually shoot 24 frames.
Oh, okay.
To clarify, because I know the stuff being released, people will assume it was shot recently. This was shot back in November of 2005, so a very, very long time ago. HD cameras for home use did not exist. The best you could do was a high-end DV camera, which I guess is what this was.
Yeah, it was perfect for our budget, because we thought about, we could have shot it on 16mm, but we figured it'd be better off to spend the money on props, effects, and costumes and things like that. And
did you have one camera then, or did you have a few?
We had one camera on some days, but actually on the larger battle scene day, we actually had two cameras running for that one.
Oh, okay. How much did you spend on this production? I don't need a real amount, but something close.
We spent around 10,000 in the end on this.
Yeah, okay. That includes, like, I guess, where did most of the budget go?
A lot of the budget was the guns, effects, and costumes. That was a big part of it. And then there's just other things like just the food and everything. We had a pretty large crew, actually. I think on the battle scene we had upwards of 40 or 45 people on set there. So just things like that.
Crew with the actors, or
with the actors, yeah. So all that. So there was just a lot of little things that added up there too. But a lot of it was.
How many days did you guys shoot for then?
I think it was about a 4-day shoot. Yeah, was it 4
days?
Yeah.
And every day you had a crew that large, or?
No, the largest crew was the battle scene day. Actually, that was the biggest one, and then it was maybe reduced by between 20 and 30 for some of the other days.
Okay. Next question from Sexy Mealtime: how did you get the money How did you get the money for this? Self-finance or government, etc.?
No, it was all self-financed. We really wanted to get this done. So
Okay.
yeah, me, my co-director, and our producer, we put in a lot of the money then. And
Where did the idea come from? Like, how come you guys wanted to do?
I just always wanted to shoot a World War II film, and I just started location scouting with my co-director one summer, and we started writing it then. Once we found our locations first, we found it was tough to write some of these scenes without actually sort of visualizing it. We didn't even know if we could have areas in Canada that would really pass for Europe, so we had to just find the right field, the right locations. And then we wrote all the scenes based on that, and then we started casting right after the summer.
The location, like, for example, I guess the main battle scene, was it a private, like a property that you had to rent or pay somebody, or was it like just
It was private property. We actually didn't have to pay for our locations, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, we had a really great producer. He arranged to get all the locations, all the permits, everything for the effects. We had to clear that all with the town. And the big battle scene, that was actually just a farm out in Milton that we found.
Okay, so you mentioned that you guys had to get like special permits, I guess, for the explosions?
Right, yeah. We basically just had to notify the town, the police, and a lot of the neighbors what was going on. So no one freaked out when they heard the guns or saw the explosions.
Okay.
And for the most part, yeah, it was only on the battle scene day where we had to get the permit for a lot of the explosions. The other ones we just sort of had to tell them that we're going to be filming there.
Okay. So any horror stories?
There was one. The day of the big battle. Took place on a farmstead that was owned by a farmer and his ex-wife. But we were assured, apparently, when they location scouted, that neither of them are ever there. Coincidentally, on the day we shot this big battle scene, the ex-wife came home. But she came home to find, an ambulance in her driveway and paramedics standing there, and we had porta potties set up on her property, and there were 30 cars lined up, and there was explosions and machine guns and Nazis and barbecues, and there's a lot of interesting stuff going on at once. So apparently she freaked out and called her husband, and then he ended up showing up in a bit of a rage.
He was pretty mad, yeah.
Right.
He knew about it. It's not like we just found the location and said these guys are never here, let's just film. But he knew about it, but there's just a really big misunderstanding, I think, on the size of the project and what we were actually going to do. And I think when he showed up, we didn't do anything to like damage his property or anything like that, but it looked like we had a Jeep turned over in the field. Explosion set up, yeah. And we had met him before, and he showed us just where to stay away from, but it just snowed, so to him, when he shows up, he sees all this going on, he sees people everywhere and all that stuff, so it probably really threw him off then. So he got pretty upset, and we had to put the whole production on hold for how long was it? About an hour and a half?
Yeah. Which ended up costing us a lot of shots that had been planned. We had there's that tent filled with ammo that was supposed to explode at one point. It had to get axed. A couple of things. I was supposed to be squibbed when I died. We didn't have time to set it up. Jonathan Robbins, the medic, was supposed to be squibbed when he died. We didn't have time to set it up. And there was supposed to be a minor scene too around that machine gun that Olsen is using. It's actually a German machine gun, an MG42, and we were supposed to originally have a 30 cal American gun, but because we couldn't get it, we'd written a very small scene to explain why we're using a German weapon. That got axed as well, as for timing.
So was that actually did you guys have any major changes from script to the final film because
Nothing too major, really. Well, on the last scene, it was actually because it got dark later on in the day. So, and because we got delayed when the owner showed up, we had to cut the scenes like the tent blowing up and just sort of focus on the essential shots. So we didn't make too many big changes. We just removed some shots, just to tighten it up a little bit. So the story stayed the same, and just other little things that we had improvised, like when I think the other guy his gun jams and he's standing there and he keeps on pulling after each shot. That was his gun actually did jam on set, and he just went with it and just had to keep on reloading it. Yeah, because there was the guns we got. They actually not all of them could shoot full automatics, so we had the workaround was just to reload each round before you go. And so there's a lot of the actors. They were really good with that, playing around with it, improvising.
Cool. Did you guys have any big challenges you had to overcome in terms of the production?
The explosives obviously do pose a dangerous risk. It wasn't an issue. Nobody got hurt, but I know the first take of that giant battle scene, for instance, there was one actor, I think it was your cousin, it turns out, who stumbled right into the path where he would have landed on one of the mortars. So they had to yell cut. And coincidentally, that was right before the farmer guy came home. So if we had, I'd say timing was the only issue that we had that was difficult. If he hadn't stumbled on the mortar right then, we would have had that shot. And then we could have been setting up the next shot while they were dealing with the farmer. But as it turns out, because it wasn't captured, it's an hour and a half down the drain. It was also in the middle of the winter, which means you have limited daylight. So I know we were getting up at 4 a.m. every morning to get to set. that was tiring. And you only have to maybe 5 before sunset. So you're up very, very early doing makeup in the dark by headlight light of cars. In some cases shooting before the sun came up.
Did you have any moments where you like scared because of the explosions and stuff?
Yeah, I guess so. The only one that was really terrifying was, not terrifying, but nerve-wracking was the one in the field, the big explosives there, only because there wasn't enough money to even give us a demonstration of what was going to happen.
Oh, okay.
So all we were told is, this is the line you can't cross. If you're any closer than this, you die. Don't go any closer than that.
Okay.
And we did rehearse it repeatedly. Like we had a twig laying there where I knew don't go past that twig, and you dive to the ground right before that twig, you're fine, allegedly. But because I didn't know that for sure, it was a bit scary. I remember right before we did that one take, and we only got one take at it, whispering to the other actor, Phil. He was Phil Harris at the time. Phil Ethans now. Phil Fredericks now.
Yeah.
Whispering to him, I know I'm a little nervous, and he whispered back, "Yes, so am I." And then you hear in the distance the director yelling 10 seconds, and it's like being in a war where you're coming into these explosives are about to go off and you know it.
So maybe it helped you then, like get in the...
Definitely the right frame of mind. Although we were exhausted by the time we actually shot that. We rehearsed it so many times, and I was so badly bruised from diving to the ground and diving to the ground that it was kind of an element of, I just want this done.
Oh, okay.
By the time we hit that point.
It was in the middle of winter, but we had no snow around then. And it was actually, I think, less than a week before we were supposed to shoot. We just got a massive snowstorm in the middle of November. And it just threw it off completely. But it looked great, I think, in the end of the scene. But it just made it a lot tougher on set because it was cold, it was wet. It just.
So when you wrote the script, though, did you want the snow or no?
We wrote it for anything really. I mean, snow would have been great, but we never planned on it because it was actually I think it was a pretty dry winter actually up until.
And when you were working on the script, did you know you're gonna all of this is gonna be possible? Because it is a pretty ambitious,
We had no idea if we were gonna be able to get explosions or guns or anything like that. So we shot with the idea that we might be able to do a lot of it in post, but just sort of wrote big, and then we figured we could scale it back a little bit later.
So you didn't worry too much about it. You just wrote the script.
Exactly. Yeah, we wanted just to write the best script that we could write at first, and then figure out what we could do after.
What was it like, I guess, for you, since this was like a first big production for you, what was it like, handling that as a director?
Oh, it was an amazing experience, but it helped out a lot that I had a co-director that helped a lot in that, and also producers that were amazing for that. So everything really, pre-production was really smooth with all that. And the set days we were trying to cram a lot into those 4 days, I think, but I think we managed to pull it off, but it was definitely stressful.
Oh yeah, it was stressful?
Oh yeah, for sure.
But so enjoyable? Or?
Oh, I had so much fun on it, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, no, when there's that much going on in the one scene, it's just, there's a lot to worry about.
In terms of the actual shoot, many people wonder, how do you go about, I guess, organizing the shoot? Do you plan a certain number of pages you're going to shoot per day or things like that?
We didn't really go by page number. For the most part, because we were under such a tight budget, we just wanted to try to focus on each day would be a scene. And so we would try to figure out how we could cram the entire scene into that one day. And for the most part, every day, each of the 4 days was at a different location. And if we had to make some cuts just to get that scene finished, we did that later in the day. But we made sure we got all the essential stuff when we needed it. So.
What about when you guys work together? I guess when you work with other actors too, is there a specific, technique that you have that works for you? Or?
Yeah, it switches up a little bit, but for the most part, I just like to. I have my idea of what the character is going to be like, but I'm always open to changes. A lot of times the actors come with they just read a line in a way I've never thought of before, and if that works for it, I like to develop that idea and sort of let it grow a bit more and see what it can turn into for sure.
Do you do a lot of rehearsals though to see if you're getting that, or you just kind of experiment on the day of the shoot?
We do a few rehearsals, but a lot of the times I like just to. I mean, when you're shooting digital, just shoot sometimes. Like if you can use it, if there's nothing going on in the background or anything, if it's a tight shot, might as well shoot the rehearsal because you never know.
Oh, okay. Is there a way that you prefer that directors work with you?
I would say actually exactly what Cliff just said. It's great. You don't want a director who doesn't have any idea what they want to do, because then you just feel abandoned. But when they give you free rein to try what's in your heart first, and then if that works, great, go with it. If it doesn't work, certainly let me know so we can work with it. But yeah, I like to be allowed to try my thing first and see if we can find a way to make it work.
When it comes to the camera work itself, are you one of those directors that like to put your hands on the camera and just pick out the angles and everything, or do you have somebody you trust, like a DP?
Well, I love handling the camera. That's always amazing. But on Drawn Soldiers, we had a DP that it was such it was almost more like a documentary style. Like a lot of handheld, get up in the action. So he had pretty much free run just to do cover whatever he thought looked good. I trusted his shots completely, and he just really got in there, and I thought it turned out really nice.
And that was for the battle scenes, and then also for the more intimate kind of dialogue
The more
scenes?
intimate ones, we had more time to set up the camera, but for the battle ones, we would talk and plan out his path, so he would know where to run and be, because a lot of them we shot in pretty long takes, I think, for some of those scenes.
Okay.
So we would plan out his path, but in terms of specific how to be tight and wide, we had a lot of punch-ins and punch-outs, stuff like that, so we sort of, we just let him feel that out, sort of go with the moment. But
So I guess because it was such a documentary film, I mean, like that type of a feel that you were going for.
Yeah.
Did you have any storyboards for it, or did you
we
just
storyboarded a lot, actually, but a lot of what it was almost like a sketching out on paper. We had a location map and sketching out almost like a football kind of thing, where you just have the X's and the O's,
okay.
and you're planning where all the soldiers are going to be going, where the attackers are coming from.
Okay.
And then once we had that down, we would almost draw the path of the camera, and we'd have an idea of when we want to be close and when we want to be wide, but it would.
Okay. It wasn't like specific
feel it.
framing. It was just
No, not at all. Yeah.
All right. Next question. Did you use any royalty-free music, or did you have it composed and performed?
We used some royalty-free music for the main score that happens towards the end of the film and earlier on, but the music in the credits was actually composed for it.
Oh, okay. Okay, I guess as a general advice for filmmakers out there, do you guys, do you have any advice for people who want to maybe do their first short film or first film with that kind of scale?
I think mainly just don't be afraid to like write big. Just write what you want to make. I mean, it might be a little bit tough to do it, but don't scale things too much just because you don't think that you have the right location or the right budget or anything like that. I mean, there's always ways to work around different things and get bigger ideas out there.
So, what kind of projects, I guess, you guys are working on right now? Anything new, exciting?
I've always got a million things on the go. I'm working on a series called Clutch. We're actually starting to shoot season 2. We started shooting in Montreal just last week, which you can check out at www.clutchtheseries.com. A lot of other film projects on the go, including hopefully some with yourself. I've got a book I published in the last year called Dawn at the Royal Star, which you can see at my website, www.jeffsinisak.com. Yeah, a bunch of acting projects.
I'm not actually working on any films at the moment, but I've been shooting some music stuff and also doing a lot of visual effects work.
All right, thank you, and thank you guys for watching. And as always, if you have any more questions for myself or for Jeff or Cliff, you can look in the description of this video. I'll post all the links over there. And see you guys next time.